Hey everyone. So I have something to say this morning, and I'm just gonna say it. So everyone that knows me, that really knows me, maybe not people who haven't talked to me for years, but most of the people who know me right now know that my faith is Messianic Judaism, and I believe that doctrine is the closest to the truth. I believe in keeping God's Torah, keeping the commandments, all 10 of them, and the 613, the laws that apply to me. I believe in confessing sins to God. That is not enough just to say you believe and get your free ticket into heaven. That your faith is put into action. If we love God, we will be doing what He said to do. Period. I also observe the feasts and festivals. I do not keep worldly pagan holidays any longer. I did growing up until I realized the truth. I am going to walk in the truth on the narrow path, and no one is going to try to convince me to go back onto the wide road. However, there are still people who hear everything that I believe, and they listen to my entire YouTube channel, and they look at the stuff that I post on Facebook, and they still think that they're going to teach me Hypergrace, and that I'm going to bow down to Hypergrace, and that I'm going to eventually resign to Hypergrace, and that I'm going to give up my current beliefs, and I'm going to go back on the Hypergrace train. I can tell you guys right now that is not going to happen. Okay, that is not going to happen. I was not raised in Hypergrace churches, for one thing. I was raised Wesleyan. The Wesleyans are not Hypergrace. They believe that you must put your faith into action. The Assemblies of God are not Hypergrace. They believe that you should put your faith into action. Okay? And the Messianic Jews definitely believe that you should put your faith into action. So, I was never Hypergrace. There are people who were in my churches who were Hypergrace, because they did not want to take responsibility for their sins. They just wanted to sin all they wanted, and they didn't want to have to feel guilty for those sins. I have met Hypergrace people, especially in the Assemblies of God church, but the Wesleyan doctrine is not Hypergrace, and neither is the Assembly of God doctrine. And those were the two churches that I was raised in, and now that I am a Messianic Jew, that doctrine is definitely not Hypergrace. So please stop putting stuff up, putting videos up and comments, thinking that is going to bother me, or that's going to make me see some light that I didn't see before, because I have already seen the light, okay? And I know that I'm on the right path now. I know that I'm in the truth, and I am worshiping the way that the original believers worshiped back in Yeshua's day when they walked with Him. That is the way they did things, and I'm sticking with that. So there are people who try to post stuff all the time, trying to get me back on the Hypergrace train. It's not going to work. I'm sorry that you're lost in Hypergrace. I'm sorry that that's your doctrine. And if you keep on that path, it doesn't matter how many good works you do, you're still not going to make it into the kingdom of heaven. All of your good works are going to be in vain, because you believe in the Hypergrace doctrine. That that all you have to do is just believe, and you get a free ticket into heaven. If you're going around preaching to other places, and that's what you're preaching to the other places, you're not going to get into heaven either. Okay, and then all of that stuff that you think you're doing for God is going to be in vain. Because you believe the Hypergrace doctrine, they believe they're called unto good works, but that that it's not necessary. Well, it is necessary. Putting your faith into action is absolutely necessary as part of your salvation. Okay? So, I just thought I would make this video today because it kind of annoys me when people try to post videos or they try to post comments either on Facebook or on YouTube trying to get me back onto the Hypergrace train. Ain't gonna work. Okay, I'm sorry you're stuck there on the Hypergrace train. Maybe you need to watch more of my YouTube channel and learn something. That's all I'm gonna say. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for listening.